Welcome back to the Holy Hot Honey Hour, where we get into the sauce of the people that make food culture what it is. I'm your host, Matthew Zeiss, without my co-host, Garrett Klein, and today's special guest, Sean Jafarjian. Welcome to the Hive.
Thank you for having me.
And I appreciate you being here. You know, we've been chatting a little bit now, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm almost compelled to get right into controversy, but I won't.
Right. But I love that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, you know what? That leads me to a question that's actually not on my list, is that, so for instance, we recently spoke to Rob Cervoni from Talios, and
Big fan.
and similarly, he plays the heel online, as he put it
hmm
directly.
Yeah.
So my question would be, because sometimes you kind of get a little antagonistic, so it's like, do you do that on purpose for views, or is that just in your behavior?
No, I definitely do it on purpose.
Okay.
Rob has quickly become like my spirit animal. I feel like him and I are in such lockstep with so many topics, but
Yeah.
it does stem from a place of passion, right? Because he plays the heel about things that he's passionate about, but I've said this, in other, forums and things like that, but controversy gets views, and it
Of
gets,
course. Of course.
so in the 5 years we've been open, we've spent $0 on marketing, yet
That's awesome.
we've been able
Wow.
to build our brand to where it is. And that's all because we realized that the controversial stuff moves the needle, So, yeah, most people when they come into the pizza shop, they're like, "You're not the same person," and I'm like, "I know it's for fun,
Yeah.
like it's shtick, but I can be that person if I need to be that person, but I'm generally not that person."
No, but it's fun to know because, that was something that we talked about yesterday. We had Cassie DeCrone on, and we were talking because she had worked with Rob, and we were discussing just the idea of being the heel and playing that off. And I assumed as much that you were doing the same thing, because the thing, controversy does get views. We know that not just from social media, we know that from the news, we know that from everything. It's
Yeah,
controversies, it's headline material. There's a reason that people go for that.
yeah.
Tabloids are very famous for a reason. What do they call those? What are the trash mags that they like?
Yes, I know the tabloids. Yeah,
Tabloid. I know, but there's like a derogatory. Either way, that's I sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all, yeah. So that's fun to know though, because I was talking to Garrett, and he was just like, "Oh, Sean seems to play that role too." I was like, "I'm sure it's the same thing, and
yeah.
I'm sure having Dave Portnoy in your corner did not hurt either."
Yeah, and for him to recently call me the most controversial person in the pizza business, I was like, I wear that like a crown. I'm like,
Yeah, man. Coming from him, that's a really great crown to wear.
yeah, coming from probably the most controversial, but he also, the time that I've spent with him, the
Yeah,
guy's a freaking sweetheart,
yeah.
and you would never know it.
So for him, you said you think it's also just shtick.
I don't think it's all shtick, but I think what you see is a very exaggerated version because when he came in and the cameras weren't on, he was just cool, cool as a cucumber. Super
That's
nice
great.
guy.
Did they call you ahead, or did they actually just show up randomly?
Like that day, like when we got reviewed.
Yeah, yeah.
So we knew that he was going to be in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So we made like a campaign video to get him in. They call under an alias, but for us, we cheated a little because I have a lot of friends that have been Portnoyed.
Okay.
So I knew the
Portnoy.
alias that they call under, and I knew that they call from a
Ah,
phone number.
okay.
So we had a list of all the Boston area codes by the phone. So we knew that if we got a call with this name and it was a Boston phone number, that it was gonna be
That's,
them.
I mean, I think that's awesome because, the truth is, if you have that opportunity, like people have tried to say otherwise online, like it's a bad thing if you knew he was coming. Like, look, if you want to present your product in its best way, this is a game of variety. The pizza's never going to be the same twice. There might be little differences. Who knows what's going on throughout the day? So if you get the opportunity to get someone like him to review your pizza, of course you want the opportunity to present your best, because it's not like you can't duplicate your best. So
Yeah. Well, knowing actually was probably a bad thing because what you had to toy with while you were making the pizza is do I make my pizza the way I always make my pizza,
Yes.
or do I leave it in the oven for an extra 2 minutes?
Yeah.
So we took the route of I'm going to make the pizza the way I always make the pizza and get the
Good.
score based on what I always make. But I'll
Yes.
tell you, like I've had a couple of pizzas since then that I'm like that like maybe we overcooked a little, and I'm like, damn, that would have been like an 8-8, that would have been, so it messes with you. But I'm super proud of the 8-2,
Of
and
course.
obviously, I mean, it's a great score. So even
Yeah.
though, but no matter what, even if I got a 9-2, I would still play Monday morning quarterback and be like, it could have been better.
That's just life. I mean, that's anything, right? If you're an artist of any kind, you're gonna be like,
Yeah,
that's not I could have did better. But with pizza, the thing is too, it's like even if it's to order, right? So how many people? I'm sure you get customers who are like, hey, can you a little well done or a little undercooked? My mother, for instance, she'll order the pizza. I mean, it looks doughy as shit, and
yeah.
that's just her way. So but of course, to cook it the way you prefer to cook it, where you're like, this is a representation of my brand, nothing is better than to get the review based on authenticity.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was the right play. And ultimately it got us invited to the One Bite Pizza Fest too. So that was a cool experience.
Yeah, man. So you said your passion for eating pizza eventually became passion for making it. Most people don't really go past that point of passion, like
Yeah.
I'm passionate about making pizza, but like I do it at home. So what was the reinvent their entire career midlife moment?
I'll be honest, it was COVID,
Yeah,
because
makes sense.
if COVID didn't enter the equation, I would still be an executive in the higher education industry like I was for, the prior 11 years. But COVID kind of changed everything for us, but it also allowed me to reconnect with people that I hadn't talked to in a long time. And I have a lot of friends that are in the pizza business and in the food world that I was able to reconnect with through COVID, and believe it or not, playing video games online.
I believe
And
it.
so I had a friend that was like gave me like a little starter recipe, and I just started tinkering at home, and then started selling them to like friends and family, had these driveway pizza parties, and then it just kind of snowballed from there.
I love that, man. I feel like that, I mean, COVID it gave me my launch in life as well. Like I
Yeah.
was in the food industry. Mine was a little backwards, like backwards to yours. I was in the food industry for a long time. And then naturally that took a giant shit during COVID. And I had been a hobbyist graphic designer for years, and then it allowed me the opportunity to fulfill what I love to do, which is graphic design. And for you, it did exactly the same thing, just in reverse.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that. And what a better response from people than the people you like your friends, your family, the people you're selling pizza to. It's a great review. I mean, that's how you can like did you tinker with it based on what they gave you back?
My gosh, we're still tinkering with it. I mean, it's we're 5 years in. I mean, I'd say the first 2 years, like, I actually made a statement that when we opened our pizza shop, I said, "If you're into consistency, this is not the pizza place for you. Don't come to us, because it's gonna be different every time, but it's gonna be elevated every time." So we just got really, I get like when I get into something, I get a bit obsessive.
Me
And
too. I'm with you.
so I got super obsessive over quality and educating myself and learning, but really none of what we've done is, I could say, is my own, because again, my son got really into it, so he started tinkering. He's a culinary student and a science kid, so
Uh-huh.
he
Perfect.
he gets it from like a science level. So the tinkering never stops, but we also made it like a pact that any tinkering that we do is always to elevate. It's never to stay level, and it's never ever to decrease in quality.
No, that would be shit.
And when we say quality, like we're talking about like measurable quality. So like we use rubrics to measure cheese and tomatoes and different things. Like
Yeah, yeah.
none of what we do is based on opinion. So long answer to your question is, yeah, we tinker a lot, but now we're kind of at a place where things are a bit more consistent now, 5 years in.
I love that, man. I mean, product consistency is what makes a brand representative. It's like and exactly what you said, which is to always go up. Of course, if you were tinkering with the intention of making a shittier product. But like, how many big companies do that? There are a lot of big companies that your aim is to cut corners, but it's like, of
Yeah.
course, if the tinkering improves the product, the opportunities are much bigger with your audience. I feel like, of course, you're going to have some of those customers who were so in love with what you had before, but I feel like the ratio is going to be in your favor.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's fun, like, to change. Like, it's like right now is like the first time I'm like a little bit bored because I'm like, what do we do next? And it's like
Yeah.
I don't know how to make it better at this point unless, some new fancy tomato walks up to my doorstep, and or some new fancy cheese
What's
but
your
right,
number one pizza on your menu?
like, if people are coming into my shop for the first time and they ask what to get, I tell them to get a plain cheese pizza. I think that's just the mark of. I always tell people, if it's your first time, get a plain cheese and then ruin it the second time. Because I think once, like, I'm not a toppings guy. I'll only eat pepperoni really on our Sicilian, but
Hmm.
otherwise maybe sausage. But I like the culmination of dough, sauce, and cheese, and I like to give a customer that baseline because especially in the region that I'm in, which is not known for quality, is I want them to taste pizza for how it's supposed to be. And then again, next time you come back, but we top people at two toppings. And if you go for a third, we give you a disclaimer that when it sucks, you ruined it.
Okay. I like that.
And you're not allowed to talk bad about it because it's your fault if it's bad. It's
Dude, that's also great because I also go on the foundation of if I'm gonna try a pizzeria, I always try just regular cheese sauce dough because that is the foundation. So if the flavor's great there, and I would agree with you too, anything more than like two, I wouldn't say toppings, yes, but like there has to be a major element. Like if you're changing the flavor profile on a big level, you're not giving the product what it is. I've explained I live in Sweden and the pizza here is it's designed for toppings, whereas pizza
yeah,
in the States is not. It's designed to be a dish on itself. Here, if you were to get what the cheese sauce dough, what is just referred to here as margarita, not no fresh basil, but it's what they call it here, you would be a little disappointed because you would be like, oh, there's not as much flavor as I would have hoped, but it's because their intention is for tons of toppings.
right. Yeah, and you got to have a really
Yeah.
strong base for it to hold. Like, our pizzas are thin. I mean, they're traditional New York style pizzas. So, and you certainly couldn't eat it because then with anything more than two, you're not folding that slice of pizza.
No, it's a fork and knife. Yeah. So, being you mentioned New York, so you have Bronx upbringing, right?
We do, yeah.
So, what made you make the shift? Did you move during COVID as well, or was it pre-COVID?
No, that was so I grew up in the Bronx until I was probably about 13 when we left the Bronx. And then I moved to my family, we moved to central Jersey, like Bruce Springsteen country, like real close to the beach. So we lived in New Jersey. I spent like my kind of adolescent and teenage years in New Jersey. And then I came out to Pittsburgh when I was 20 to help my mother move. My parents were divorced, but my dad was in Brooklyn at that time. My mom was
Mhm.
in Jersey, which was the greatest, by the way, for being a teenager. Like, most people's parents get divorced and it's like the end of the world. For
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
it
yeah.
was the greatest thing ever because I had the Jersey Shore and Brooklyn,
Yeah.
and I just hopped
Awesome.
back and forth between the two. It was the best. But yeah, so my mom was getting married to a guy in Pittsburgh, and I came out here to help her move. I was supposed to be here for 2 weeks, and I just hit 25 years.
Wow. So, I take it you liked it there.
Not that I liked it here. In fact, I still strongly dislike it here, but
Alright.
I met my wife during those 2 weeks. So, and then we
That'll
raised
do
our
it.
family here, but Pittsburgh as a whole, I mean, it's a great city. I love it, but it's always gray outside. You don't get a lot of sunshine, and I need the ocean in my life. So
Same.
Pittsburgh doesn't suck. I need the ocean. I need the ocean in my life.
Born from fire and sweetness, forged in flavor, fresh chilies, raw honey, real warmth, aged to perfection, balanced by nature, smooth, rich, and just enough heat to keep it holy. Holy Hot Honey, divinely sweet, simply spicy.
I totally understand where I'm very lucky that, I'm from New York and when I moved here, It turns out my wife was already residing in this town we live in, which is by the ocean, and for the same reasons. Like, I need the ocean. As a New Yorker, that's just part of life, you know?
Yeah. And where I
So
grew up in the Bronx, we were in the northeasternmost part of the Bronx, like right before
mm,
you got to Westchester. So if you're
sure.
familiar with like Louie and Ernie's, Pelham
Yeah, yeah,
Bay,
yeah.
you know, Louie and Ernie's was my childhood pizza shop.
We just had his daughter on.
She's a very,
Who
very close friend of mine too, which is
Yeah,
like
and your
really
brother was
cool.
on, right?
Yeah, my brother just did her thing, and then
Yeah,
but yeah, so we grew up like having that family like around the corner. So it's cool being friends with Tori now, and the
yeah,
fact like we're both in pizza because we both are. I mean, obviously her more so than me, but I was also very heavily influenced by Louis and
sure.
Ernie's pizza.
Would you even say, I mean, puts you in a position, would you compare your pizza and say, like, it's a taste tribute to, like, Louie and Ernie's, or is it its own thing?
I wish, but ours is definitely its own thing because we went down the artisanal rabbit hole. So we're sourdough, we're organic tomatoes, we're handmade mozzarella, we're like we got really nerdy on the artisanal stuff.
Yeah.
But if I were to do it over, like I would want the same sausage she uses and do the clumps on. Like her sausage pie, her family's sausage pie is the greatest sausage pie maybe in the history of sausage pizzas.
That's a great compliment, man. But so if you guys went as what you're calling the nerdy route, right? And I say what you're calling because I don't want people being like, you're an asshole to me.
Yeah.
But your thing, you still identify as a slice of New York. Is that more the spirit that you put out there? Because if the pie is this elevated quality, what about it reflects the New York slice?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's size. They ate slice where Pittsburgh's like 12 and 16 slice pizzas. Like the 8
Sure.
slices, it's
Yeah.
size. So
Okay.
in its core, it's a New York pizza. But that's a good statement you made or question because what a slice of New York is like when you walk into my doors, we want you to feel like you're in New York. So when you walk in, there's wood paneling on the walls, there's graffiti on the walls, there's hip
Nice.
hop being played, you know? So like when you come to a slice of New York, and this is gonna sound like such a cheesy tagline, but it's not like you're just getting a slice, like you're getting a slice of New York, like in terms of like vibe and everything,
I
you
love
know?
it, man. Yeah.
And that's also why I do the shtick is like I give you like as a Pittsburgher, if you're thinking of how a New Yorker would be, I'm giving you on the internet anyway, exactly what you would expect a New Yorker to be
Yeah.
like.
Yes.
You know, a little brash, a little tough, you know, a little, you know. So and we give those vibes. But then we're
I
also
mean,
very family friendly.
I really like that though, as a whole, as someone who does graphic design, marketing and stuff, creating an aesthetic brand, both audibly, visually, it's an experience. And especially for people who don't understand, like I'm sure most people do, right? But if you're not from New York, there is clearly a very, very strict stereotype of what a New Yorker is and supposed to
Yeah.
be. And, a lot of times that stereotype is right.
Yeah.
It's like, but if you're out of New York, like, okay, I'm sure you remember as well, right? As a New Yorker, your first time out of New York, you're hit with this, like, oh shit, this is how other people are, like outside of New York. It takes
Yeah.
you back a bit, so then you don't realize how you come off.
Yeah.
So I totally, really, really dig the idea of just the shtick, man. I mean, you are the face of the brand, so you have to go with the vibe. So a slice of New York, not literally meaning the pizza itself, but more of the experience, is fantastic.
Exactly.
I love that, man.
It's a culture.
Yeah, and it is. Of course it is. Actual culture is changing, it seems, but like the actual typical New York stereotype, I mean, my wife loves it. If
Yeah.
we watch Sopranos, like when we do it, right? And I know that's Jersey, but like it's all
It's
the
still.
same attitude and shit. I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
The accent I find ridiculous. I even did when I grew up there as a New Yorker. When people come into you talking like this, you're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
you sound so stupid, man.
Well, I lost it like through just working in corporate America because I traveled a lot. So when I had to travel to different like college campuses, I didn't want to roll in sounding like that.
No.
So it took a long time and learning how to like be like a facilitator
Mm,
to get rid of the accent. But again, that's how you'll know too. Like in a lot of the videos, if you hear the accent, you know
Yeah,
that I'm having
being
fun.
put. I'll tell. I dare you to watch all of Sopranos and see how you talk at the end because, dude, we were. Did you? We binged it. We binged it, and then all of a sudden, words were coming out of my mouth in this accent. I'm like, holy shit, it's getting to me. I got to separate myself because I actively, as I grew up pursuing music, and like when interviews would come about, I would really focus on not sounding like that because you never hear a famous celebrity or someone on TV or whatever talking like that. It almost
Yeah.
never happens unless it's a shtick. So
Yeah.
yeah, but with that, so being where you are, what made you, aside from, I mean, you told me the experimentation process you went through, but there had to be a moment of like slight, as any business launch is, like, okay, here's a starter. Did you own a business ever prior to this?
I did. I've been kind of a serial entrepreneur my whole life. So even back when I was like 12,
Shit.
my brothers and I, like, my dad had a little side hustle business that we did that actually got pretty big at one point, right before my parents got divorced, and then that business kind of went away. Where if you ever heard of the Englishtown auction, it's a flea market in like New Jersey.
No.
Back in like the 90s, it was like the biggest flea market on the East Coast, and they would bus people in from Boston, from Philly, like just to go to this flea market. And me and my brothers had spots situated all over this flea market selling crossbow pistols and hunting knives.
Hey, that's awesome.
And we crushed. Yeah, I mean, so I've had tons of businesses. My wife and I owned a few nail salons. My wife did
Okay.
nails for a lot of years. Even at one point when I opened the pizza shop, we had the nail salon and the pizza shop right next to one another, which was really cool.
Great
But
combination of smells.
oh yeah, you walk into one, you just smell chemicals. You walk into mine, and mine was not the one that smelled like chemicals.
Oh, I wish the punchline would have ended with that was your place.
Yeah, I had a tuxedo business when I was in my 20s.
Okay.
That was like a big failure of mine, actually, but that was like really a formative thing for me because I believe that you have to really truly fail in your life
Yes.
to achieve any level of success in your life with however you define success to be. But I had a
Sure.
tuxedo business in my 20s that was a freaking gold mine. Like the business itself did great. I was just not a good business owner yet because I was young, I was making money, and I was stupid,
Of
and I
course.
spent it all. Spent all the money. Again, there was plenty of business, but yeah, I blew it all, and it was awesome. It sucked at the time, but major lessons learned during that period of life for me.
That's wildly important. People don't realize, but there's a lot of quotes out there, right? Talking about that there's no such thing as a true failure, right? Unless you let it be, because it's
Yeah.
always a growing opportunity to learn from your mistakes and not duplicate them if you're brave enough to go into your next venture.
Yeah, that's why I tell my kids all the time because they're both in their 20s. They're trying to figure out life, and I'm just like, listen, when shit sucks,
Yeah,
embrace the suck
definitely.
because that's where the lessons are learned. And I think the victory is in the hustle, and how you get
Definitely.
through adversity. And I'm not trying to just soundbite your thing here,
No, but it's true.
but it's stuff I
You're
get.
reading off of a proverb list. You're like, two in the hand is worth one in the bush.
Yeah, right later. Let me just grab a book. But I do genuinely believe in all
Yes.
of those things. And again, I lived it, so
Yeah.
I want to make sure that they learn the same way, the hard way.
Those are important lessons, especially, I mean, your kids are luckily in their 20s. Like my kids are a little bit younger. So, and the way society is now, it's a little harder to implement those types of beliefs into people when you really want to push that idea of, don't let, not everybody gets a trophy kind of thing. Like that's not how life works.
Yeah,
I actually just had on Wendy Kaufman, the Snapple lady, the other day, and she was super adamant on that too. And we had a discussion, and it's true because the thing is, like, listen, life's going to be hard. It's going to suck. You're going to get knocked, like in a Rocky quote, right? Kind of thing.
yeah,
But like, life's going to knock you down. You got to pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward.
yeah,
And it's true. I know I misquoted. I wasn't directly trying to quote him. People are like, you never saw the movie,
yeah.
but it's super true. But so with that, that makes sense then, because my question was going to be the transition from your position you had into pizza during the pandemic. You know, there's that moment of like, okay, is it, you know,
Yeah.
it's now or never, but like you probably had a little bit less of that because you had already been in an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, so from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I knew what to do to be prepared and I knew what to do to be profitable. Like most businesses take 3, 4 years to become profitable. A Slice in New York turned profitable 2 weeks in.
Wow.
Like, so from 2 weeks in, but that's also when we knew that we can say whatever the fuck we want because it was impossible for it to hurt our business, you know, by having to pander to certain situations and things like that. So, but we were very, very strategic. Like when I told, I have a lot of friends in the business, a lot of mentors. And when I told my closest mentor, and I said, this is the budget that I have to start this business, he literally laughed in my face. He goes, it's impossible. And I said, you fucking watch me.
And nice.
and I actually did it for I was $200 over that
Well,
budget.
and he's like, I was right. No, I was kidding.
But it's funny because we talk about it now, and I'm like, hey, remember when you laughed at me?
Yeah.
You know, now 5 years later, because again, I believe in no debt. I believe in just doing things a very strict way, so that I don't make those same mistakes I made in my 20s.
And we've been there. A lot of people, a lot of people have been there. I mean, I did the same thing. I went through a lot of my youth just blowing money away, man. I mean, I had so many fucking jobs and
Yeah,
zero savings, just living life like there was a safety net always.
yeah. No
You
one in their
know,
20s should have money of any
no,
kind.
no, or a license.
Yeah,
But so when you just mentioned mentors, now I have read right that you mentioned working with consultants and obsessing over like the dough, and I know you said your son's science thing, but between mentors and such, was there something within the pizza world that just blew your mind? Like, oh shit, okay, I didn't realize I had to do this.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if it necessarily blew my mind until I was probably like in it. Like, again, the science part of it, I never really truly understood. Now, I thought like when if I were to talk to like Louie and Ernie's, right? I think Tori will even tell you like it was a bag of flour, it was a bucket of water, it was you
Yes,
know,
we've had this conversation many times on
it,
here.
yeah, where you know where, but my one main mentor, like everything was just meticulously measured and things like that. So I think in terms of that, I wouldn't say it was mind blowing, but I'll say it was
Yeah,
definitely eye opening
sure.
of, and then when I read The Joy of Pizza and started getting into the tomato rubrics and the cheese rubrics and it's funny if you ask Rob Cervoni, because the first time I ever met him and I got in a little debate about rubrics, and it was really funny. But that's also kind of how we got to know each other. He's like, you don't need a rubric, just pick what you like. And I'm like, no, I'm like, you need a rubric. And but I really bought into everything in that book. And so we use these rubrics to decide, like when we're tasting a tomato, there's no opinion. It's this is the best tomato. This is the best olive oil. This is the best cheese because the rubric don't lie. And so I think getting that intricate, I didn't know was going to be a thing, but it was also a thing I didn't realize I was going to get so excited about. Like I think other people would see that level of attention and detail and be turned off by it and hoping it was more simple. Where for me, I was like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And we just dive all the way in.
I totally understand what you're saying too, because I mean, it's all a matter of, it's all a matter of who you are within pizza. You know, we had Paul Sicoscio from the pizzeria, which is a chain on Long Island,
Mhm.
and he was saying, he's like, you know, look, I'm not like, he's not the pizza artist. You know, for him, he's looking to create more of just a restaurant experience as an energy. But so it's like
Yeah.
there's just a place, and there's a slice for everyone. You know, so you doing it your way, to me, it makes sense. That's the way I would do it. Also, I'm making
Yeah.
pizza at home, so I'm not as in depth to the science of it, but you know, I'm getting there, and I'm learning how much love there is within it, and the things you can do, and the experimentation parts are very fun too. I'm sure
Yeah.
you had a blast doing that, you know. How long did it take you to develop your dough recipe?
Well, because we had the cheat of so a little backstory. So one of my high school best friends, his name's Cameron Spagnolo. He's an amazing chef, not a pizza chef, but he knows pizza. But but his childhood best friend is Dan Richer of Razza. So I knew
Hmm.
Dan back in high school from like they were all in like rock bands together. So having access to Cameron and direct access to Dan in the beginning, and then having Dan's book come out, and then being able to directly ask him questions, like those were the things for us that were like it moved quick, the initial recipes, but because I had the ultimate crutch that most people wouldn't have. And then again, then I have my friends here that are in the business that again let me use their kitchen,
Yeah.
to practice on their ovens and things like. And now I have the same oven that my one mentor has. Like I have like I'm like super passionate about this oven too. So again, things were a little faster for me because again, I had the ultimate cheat code.
Is your oven electric or gas?
I use electric now.
Yeah.
I started on gas, but now I use the Moretti Forni.
Yeah. I've heard it's so much better. I heard once people start using electric, they'll never go back. Paulie G was like, the turnaround time is so much better with electric.
Yeah, and they're smart. So, like, my oven knows when the stones are cooling, and so it clicks the elements back on for the stone to maintain the temperature of the stone. So,
Yeah.
literally, the last pizza of our day on a Friday night looks the same as our first pizza of the day, which is, the
Yeah.
greatest.
Are there other New York-ish slice shops by you? Because Pittsburgh area, from what I see, is known for thicker dough, a little bit loaded, and then you come in with a New York slice. Were there other or is that why you knew yours thing would stand out?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a standout because for me to one of the reasons I even started was because I had to drive so far to get the pizza that I wanted to eat. So, and it was a minimum of a half hour there, half hour back to just go get the pizza that I wanted to eat. So I knew we were going to have a standout product that alone was going to get attention. So, but I will say now 5 years later, everybody's starting to gravitate towards like there's one guy who kind of kicked it off for everybody. His name's Anthony Badamo. He's got a location. If you've ever been to like the pizza expos or anything like that, he's always in the Pauline booth, cooking on the Pauline ovens. And the guy's an absolute pizza legend, but I would say he was the first in the Pittsburgh area to really
Okay.
do a New York style pizza correctly.
Okay.
Because that was the other thing you have around here. You have a lot of people that are using the New York moniker, and then you go get it, and it's like
Yeah.
not even remotely close.
We've
But
all had
Anthony
that.
Adamo paved the way for people like me, people like, Rockaway, who's another big one in Pittsburgh that does he was like on the same day with Portnoy, like there was 3 of us that got the same
Mhm.
score, but
All right.
Anthony Badamo didn't get him that day, Portnoy to come in. And we all are in unison in saying that like if Portnoy went to him, he would have
Yeah.
outscored all of us.
Power up your pizza, boost your chicken, upgrade your charcuterie board. Fresh chilies and real honey combined for ultimate flavor mode. One taste and boom, you're in the sweet spot. Holy Hot Honey, divinely sweet, simply spicy.
Which is nice to hear, I'm sure.
So, but to answer your question, yes, there was some New York pizza, but it was scattered. But I will say now that, especially since all the craziness of the last few years, people are starting to take quality a little bit more seriously around here. And you're starting to see more places pop up that are, and I don't want to say they're copying, because I'm happy. Like I give everybody my recipe, like literally everybody, because if I could make somebody else's pizza better, you know, and I could be a mentor for somebody with the knowledge that somebody passed down to me, we're helping just make the pizza world better. But I think we've created a lot of influence just in the area, and people are starting to gravitate towards quality, and then through that, their pizzas are starting to look a little bit similar. But I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, the sharing, we talk about it all the time and on so many of these episodes, the old culture in pizza versus new culture. And a lot of the old timers who held it close to the chest and where everybody who's new in the business, like, no, 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 like we're sharing, like we're
Yeah.
gonna tell people, let the game as a whole advance. And it couldn't be bigger. Pizza as a whole, which is crazy, right? You grow up, pizza's huge already. You know, it's not like it's a new thing for our generations. And then now pizza culture is on a whole different plane.
Yeah. It's why I mean, they're even making home ovens now, like
Yes.
Kenmore, that'll go to 700 degrees so you could cook pizza in your house. Like the home pizza game is even crazy.
Yeah, you know, we had on Andres Lagsden from Pizza Steel. It's like, you know, Baking Steel, sorry, that would be a punch in the face if I called it the wrong
Yeah.
thing. But for Baking Steel, and it's just like, so the advancements that you have at home has COVID by itself was such a launch for so many people in
Yeah.
pizza. It's,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
you had so much time in your hands to do this stuff at home and you got to launch. And I mean, look what it, you know, some people, Augie Russo, you know, him, yourself, just these
Yeah.
big names that are currently like, you guys are big names in pizza. And without COVID, that probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I got to cook with Augie at an event in Brooklyn last summer. It was really cool. It was we work with Slice Out Hunger and Scott
Sure.
Wiener a little bit, so
Yes.
we did the Pizza on the Pier event that they do in Brooklyn, and man, that was a dream because it's like, you know, you're doing this stuff for charity, but I'm cooking alongside like F&F, David from Weeded, Augie, like all these like
Yeah.
superstars, and I'm like, you know, and you get a little like, you know, I don't know, I guess imposter syndrome. Like, do I even belong here? Like, I'm like, who am I? You know, and because again, like I have these people in pizza that I like idolize, you know,
Sure.
and to be able to cook alongside them at a charity event is, you know, it's unbelievable.
Who's,
So,
who's one person in the pizza community you haven't met yet, but you'd really, really love to meet?
Chris Bianco.
And what I'm ignorant to it. Who, where is he? What's he from?
So Chris Bianco's a New York native. He's the Bianco of Bianco DiNapoli tomatoes. And it's funny
Okay.
because Rob DiNapoli is actually a really good friend of mine. So I know I have access to meet him. I just don't want to call in that favor just yet. But Chris Bianco he's got a place out in Phoenix, Arizona called Pizzeria Bianco. He's just, again, one of the OG people that cared on a different level. He was probably one of the first in the US anyway to get like really super nerdy, or at least popularize getting really super nerdy. But to me, he's like the A-list of the A-list. I just got to meet Mark from Lucali.
Sure.
I had him and Chris on the same level.
So one down.
Yeah, so and I just got to meet him a couple of weeks ago at the One Bite Pizza Fest. He was 2 booths away from me, so I had, like, direct access to him. If you wanna see the most embarrassing moment of my entire life, we threw a behind the scenes video up on YouTube of, the One Bite Pizza Fest, and you'll see the most embarrassing moment of my life, making a fool of myself, meeting one of my heroes.
I have
But
to
that's
see
what
it
they say,
now.
don't meet your heroes, but he'll remember me forever.
Well, speaking of don't meet your heroes, right, is there anybody in the pizza community who has not been pleasant to meet or talk to? Now, go for it.
Yeah. That's a great question. Okay, so again, I idolize a lot of people. Okay, now what I'm going to say next is going to definitely ruffle some feathers.
Sure.
So I'll say if you
But
don't
it's
want your
cool though
feathers,
because we've already established you as an actual nice guy, so it's
well,
okay.
I appreciate that. So okay, so again, I idolize people, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
and then I just really look up to them and follow them. One of the people that I really idolized and looked up to was Tony Gemignani. You know, the guy is an absolute pizza legend. So I started my business in 2022. I had met him at a few events, you know, and just a quick, hey, how you doing? Like nothing formal. And then in 2022, he follows me on Instagram. And I'm like, you know, and then when one of the people that you kind of idolize like follows you
of
back,
course.
you know, you're
Yeah,
feeling you're feeling pretty good. I'm like, "Oh, man, Tony Gemignani follows me." I thought it was, like, the coolest, and again, I'm still at that point a nobody in the pizza world. You know, I'm making a few waves in Pittsburgh, but nationwide. So again, he follows me. I'm a big fan. I continue to follow everything that he does. On September 10th of 2020, what year are we in now? 2025 of
Mm,
2023, September 10th. And I'll tell you why I remember the date so distinctly.
yeah.
September 10th, 2023, Tony Gemignani is in Pittsburgh because he's like a San Francisco guy. The 49ers are playing the Steelers, so he's in town for the Steeler game. Every year since the year that we opened on 9/11, we close our doors completely to the public, and then we donate all of the pizzas to first responders, 911 operators, police,
Wow.
firefighters, EMS workers. And it's just, as a New Yorker,
Yeah.
on a
It's
day
a
that's
beautiful thing.
generally a bad day, it's a day that I feel by doing something good, it makes me feel good. So that's like the selfish part of it because I think it always feels good to do good.
Of course it
So on
does.
September 10th, I reach out to Tony Gemignani and I'm like, hey, I saw you're in Pittsburgh. I was like, it would be really, really cool if you were available and maybe swung by and we can make a few pizzas for this charity thing I'm doing together. He replies, unfortunately, I'm leaving for Italy or somewhere he was going. And I'm like, just the fact that he replied, I was like,
Sure.
that's cool. So he replies that he can't do it. I'm like, no problem, maybe some other time. Right. And that was like the whole thread. And then I kid you not, no more than like 15 minutes later, he unfollows me. And I was so like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like he saw me ask for help for a charity thing and then hit the unfollow button. And I was
Dude.
like, I was a little crushed at first, but then it also kind of like fueled some stuff inside of me of like, fuck this guy, you
Of
know?
course.
Like,
Of course.
but like I have some theories as to why he unfollowed me. Maybe it was some of my, social media stuff is not always desirable.
Okay.
But I do think it was something else. I don't think that maybe, it crossed my mind. I'm like, maybe he hates cops. Yeah. And I'm
Ma-
like, but I don't think that's the case. But I do believe in one theory that I have as to why he hit the unfollow button. And I don't think it was necessarily him, but that's just
Okay.
speculation.
All right. You don't want to say it?
I could say it.
Yeah, go ahead,
So,
man.
all right. So, you know how you have the world pizza champions,
Yes.
umbrella, which to any of my friends that are on the world pizza champions team, I'm sorry for what I'm about to say because I have a lot of friends on that team and I'm sure a lot of them are going to hit the unfollow button after I say what I'm about to say. So one of the high up people in that world, okay, is like a chain pizza.
Okay.
It's a very low quality pizza that, is just kind of made for the masses.
Yes.
That guy, and he knows I don't like him. He doesn't like me. It's just like a
Yes.
thing. That season was also the season that brand started selling pizza inside of Heinz Field and all the stadiums in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So I have to assume that Tony is at the game with this guy,
Ha.
right? And my assumption is that Tony's like, you know who this is? Because he probably didn't really know who I was. You know who this is? And then that guy was probably like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good theory. It's a
hit the
good
button.
theory.
But I say we pose the question straight out to Tony. Why did you unfollow me?
Well, it's funny you
Let's see if
say
he
that.
replies.
Coming in right now, live from. No, I'm joking.
Imagine he just popped on the screen. That would be the greatest
Dude,
thing ever.
if I Maury Povich you and he's just there.
But but that was the first time I met, and I know that was a long story, and I apologize.
No, that's what
But
we're
that
here.
was the first encounter with somebody that I really, really admired and look up to that kind of like big dogged me and like kind of because everybody has been so accessible and so kind with their time and so kind with sharing secrets, even though I believe there
Sure.
shouldn't be any secrets
No.
in food, but just sharing techniques and things like that. Like that was the first and really the only one that
Yeah, that's. Yeah,
kind
and
of
I think your theory makes a lot of sense, honestly. The thing you think happened, there's a good chance that happened, I
it makes mathematical sense.
it does.
Right?
It does.
It's from a guy with, and again, I'm not trying to be cocky, but like I think I'm a little bit of a smart guy.
Yeah, sure.
From a deduction standpoint, it makes sense. Or I mean, it's possible he just didn't like me,
There's of course either
but
one,
that's
but
okay.
yeah, the other one feels better to believe, and it makes sense, like. But the other one's like, okay, well, that one makes sense, but no, why? Yeah, we'll put the question right out there to him. I'll
Yeah,
ask him to come on the show and be like, why'd you
set
unfollow
the
him,
record
dude? What's
straight.
up?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
and I'll be honest, that's the first time I ever told that story.
yeah,
Like, there's a few close friends I've told that story to,
yeah.
but I've not told that story to really
I'll
anybody.
have him on, and we'll Maury Povich him with you.
That would be
Be like, coming in right now. You'd be like, what the
that would
fuck?
be a
What
lot
an
of fun.
the ambush portion of the Holy Hot Honey Hour.
But I
Um,
will say, back to like the stuff from earlier with, failures and like that's something that, and I don't know why, but like it fueled something in me. And like, in a way, I want him to regret doing that one day,
yeah, for
you
sure.
know?
I mean, dude, that's how I can't remember what I was watching. It was like, the show, I love it, The Food That Built America. And
Yeah.
there was something similarly that took place on one of these things where the person kept getting told, like, they're just like, no. And all it did was add fuel to their fire. Like, screw what you're saying. Like, you're just giving me the momentum to push forward harder.
But isn't it amazing how a moment that, like, for him, he has probably zero recollection of that,
Yeah.
right? Zero.
Yeah.
But for me, for years, it's been this like driving thing in the back of my mind that I think about all the time.
I completely understand that, though, on multiple levels.
Yeah.
So back to actual pizza stuff, but however, that story is going to be the first clip I post.
Yeah. I hope I'll share it too.
Yeah. So people love experimenting with pizza nowadays. Toppings are galore. Last week, there must be some sort of memo that goes out to people on like what to post, because I saw like I don't know, a dozen pickle pizza posts on the same day from different channels. So is there one topping that you either secretly hate or secretly love that you could, one, add to the menu, or two, take off the menu?
That I do secretly hate all veggies on a pizza.
Sure.
Like every time I mean, mushrooms, I think I publicly hate. That's the one thing I serve that I hate.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I think people are wasting their money when they buy it. We try to gourmet it up. Like if somebody orders mushrooms, we give them an entire portobello mushroom that we sliced it and spread over the pizza.
Okay.
So we try to make it good, but there's literally no flavor on a mushroom naturally.
No, there's not.
Like if you have something with no flavor and you have to flavor it to make it taste good, is it good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably not. So
No.
that's something that I would say I hate that I have, and I would love to get rid of, and I would love
Yeah.
my customers to stop buying it. But I'll keep taking your $4 every time. Thanks for the donation.
The dough nation. Boom. Sorry.
Something that I would put on I tell you what. So I recently brought on like a real chef to work in our kitchen, and he
Nice.
makes some pizzas that honestly, like we don't have on our menu, but he'll throw them out in the slice case that
Okay.
I would love to put on my menu. But I've been so public about being a pizza purist
Yeah.
that it contradicts. I'd have to backtrack so many things that I've said on the internet. But he did
It
this
depends.
chicken
You have a chef. What's his name?
Corbin Wallagera. You should
So
actually have him on.
I can, but I was gonna say that then his name's even better. You make a little piece of the showcase, call it Corbin's Corner, and it's the slices he has.
It's funny because the days that I'm not there, he has an area. It's called Corbin's Creations.
There we go.
And I was there on Sunday last week, and somebody was asking for what today's Corbin's creation was.
There you
And I'm like,
go.
so every day he should have his Corbin's creation, because this kid is like insanely talented. We got him from a place where he was a little bit sheltered,
Okay.
and so we're really trying to like push him in the spotlight. He's in his mid-20s, but the kid is probably the best pizza maker, east of the city of Pittsburgh.
Wow.
And I'm super proud to have him. But he did this chicken and waffles pizza the other day.
Dude, I had that idea like months ago. Tell me what it was.
And again, I don't know all of what he does, but all I know is the finished product was like spectacular, and every single person that had it loved it. And again, you made a good point, right? Really promote the Corbin's Corner thing or the
Sure.
Corbin's Creations, because
Yeah,
this way I don't have to backtrack my things because it's not me
exactly.
doing it, it's him doing
No,
it.
Crafted from raw honey and fresh chilies, a balance of sweet and subtle warmth, aged with care to deepen every note, paired with cheeses and charcuterie, glaze across golden fried chicken, drizzle over wood-fired pizza, a touch transforms everything. Holy hot honey, divinely sweet, sinfully spicy.
yeah, you just acknowledge how great it is, so you're giving him space.
Exactly. And then we try to get him the spotlight a little bit because,
Yeah,
again, the kid deserves a platform and he deserves the spotlight. And he is just an insanely good worker. Kid never calls off. He's never late. He's like, and he's just always creating and always thinking. And even though the kid's like half my age, he pushes me to be better, you know?
that's
And
how it
then
goes.
having my son who's in a culinary program next to him, my son's learning stuff hands on in the shop and in school. It's like the kid's incredible, but that would be the pizza.
That's
I
awesome.
digress.
No, 'cause I'm curious. You can't digress because I'm going to dive back in. Was the dough regular pizza dough, or did he like kind of make a waffle base?
Well, he did some kind of dough where no, he brings in some dough that he makes, and sometimes he uses our stuff, but no, he did actual waffles that he made on top, like
Oh,
with the
okay.
chicken. But the dough, he did something with like beef tallow instead of olive
Shit.
oil,
Yeah. Wow.
and so that had a certain flavor to it and added texture. And like this kid is like, if you follow his Instagram, it's Hippie Chef Pizza Slayer.
I will follow. I would love to have him on based on what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, he like every night, like it'll be after work, it'll be 10 p.m. and I'm flipping through Instagram and he's in his kitchen cooking shit up that I'm like, the kid is just always creating. And
That's
it's cool to see.
He'll be successful. That for sure.
I mean, and
Yeah.
again, he's already in my book, he's already successful. Like he's
Yes.
miles beyond where I was at 26 years old.
Yeah, dude. It's funny. I swear to God, I was sharing. I was toying and tinkering with a recipe. I said months ago, but it could have been a year ago at this point. I don't know, but it was a chicken and waffles pizza. But I was trying to create a dough that was waffle based, but still firmer, so it wasn't
Yeah,
flop city. I haven't messed with it yet. I was just mostly designing it and trying to math it up. But
yeah.
chicken and waffles, man, I freaking love it. We had this conversation with an old friend, Mark Byron, who a culinary chef and stuff, and he doesn't like chicken and waffles. He fought it forever, and I was like, man, I love chicken and waffles. Like it's the bomb, dude. It's so freaking good. So to combine that with pizza, score.
We go to Charleston, South Carolina a lot. And again, I was never a big chicken and waffles person, but I had chicken and waffles at this one diner on King Street in Charleston that no matter what, now every time we go to Charleston, it's literally the first thing I eat is we go to Virginia's on King and get chicken and waffles.
It's so. I mean, it really is. My first time having it, like I wasn't even in the South. I was somewhere on Long Island, and
Yeah.
and I had the opportunity. Now it was there. I was like, holy shit, man! Like a little syrup, little hot sauce. You're in a whole different world, man.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Um. So now your brother has now like a stem off. Like I don't even want to say franchise because you're brothers, but like so your brother also has a slice of New York, and it's a food truck.
It's a permanent fixtured food trailer on
Uh huh.
Hempstead Turnpike, in on Long Island in
Yeah.
Franklin Square area, so
Sure.
close
Yes.
to the Queens border. We do got to get that thing mobile though. Like permanent fixtured is cool, but like for a food trailer to really like it has to be both. Like it should be permanent fixtured a couple of days a week, and then
Yes.
be out in like festivals and wineries and
And
breweries
it'll,
and
it'll clean up weddings and stuff. I mean,
weddings. Yeah,
yeah.
there's so many opportunities. But yeah, so what we do for that is that's called a slice of New York squared, and it's
Okay.
only our Sicilian pots
Uh-huh.
because
Nice.
in
Okay.
a truck setting, you just don't have a ton of room, and so I wanted to have it in a way that where you could still deliver a really high quality product, but be able to do it quicker and faster. And, you know, because we par bake our Sicilians. So what's nice about doing Sicilians on a truck, it's just sauce, cheese, oven done. Sauce, cheese, oven done. Like
Yeah.
it's quick because of the par bake. It's a lot of
Yeah.
prep, but once you're like in service, like it's really quick and it's really easy to pump them out.
Does he use your dough recipe?
Yeah, and I'm actually glad you brought that up because I'm going to plug myself a little bit if that's
Do it.
okay.
Yeah, of course.
One of the challenges that we had when
Oh, we
we
got a
were
commercial break. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead, bro.
yeah, one of the challenges we had when we were getting that open was we didn't have a commissary set up.
Okay.
So I didn't want my brother to have to make, especially on a trailer, because there was going to be way too many variables with humidity and temperature and things like that. So we found a way to freeze our sourdough and then ship it to Long Island.
Okay.
Okay. And then all he has to do is thaw it, let it ferment for 2 or 3 days after it's thawed, stretch it in the pan, let it rise, par bake, and let it go. What that did was, in finding that distribution channel and knowing that freezing the sourdough would work, like we did a lot of experimentation, we partnered with a third party that now we can distribute our dough anywhere. So as of right now, like this second, we have the single only frozen sourdough dough ball product available for pizzerias to purchase anywhere in the United States.
That's incredibly cool.
Starting December 5th, we'll have immediate December 5th of this year, all of Pennsylvania, all of Ohio, and all of West Virginia will be distributed by Greco Foods. And their salespeople are going to be going out and selling our dough product. But what happened was, so the Greco Foods, which is based out of Chicago, but then they have Pittsburgh, they have Vegas, they're in Phoenix. We were friends a little bit with like the Greco family, but
Okay.
they ended up selling their business to Cisco. So Greco still operates as Greco, but it's under the Cisco umbrella.
Okay.
So now, once we get Greco pumping with all the dough, if we find success there, which I believe we will, then we could funnel through Cisco and get full nationwide distribution.
That's true. Congratulations, man. I mean, that's an awesome, awesome step. That's
And it was all
so
by
cool.
accident getting
Yeah.
get the Long Island thing going. We were like, well, if we can do this, why can't
Yeah.
we do
That's
this?
so cool, man. That's really, and I mean that. Like, I love stories like that because when things happen organically, it's just always awesome. Are you going to now? You have that also. Was Pizza Squared not just cost the pizza, but not cost the pizza square, but also because it's times 2 him?
Say
Or is
that
that
one more
just
time.
like, like pizza squared is always like you put like, or if it's a number squared, that's times you put the
We have the
x2.
little two, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I was
And then
gonna
it's
say
Frank Square, so it's like, but
couldn't
no,
be better.
but we did do the two. But we have an idea for a franchise model.
That's what I was gonna ask next.
We're not overly pushing that at the moment,
Yes.
but as we get all these distribution channels in place, once that's in place, then we could really push the franchise side because then they have access to all of our ingredients and everything. So it's
I I'm glad you said that because that was going to be my next question about possible franchising. Being you have the two. I mean, dude, this has been an awesome conversation. We're tapping on an hour, and we have another guy coming in. But
yeah.
I could have sat here and talked to you forever. The idea, love the story of how you came to do the pizza. I like how. I mean, talk about success though, right? Like you said earlier, it depends how people define success. You have both levels of it because you have
Yeah.
actual like a financial successful business model on your feet, but you also love what you do. And
Yeah.
so you're covering both bases of success completely. It doesn't matter how you define it, you're successful.
I appreciate you saying that very much.
Yeah,
And I appreciate you having me on. We definitely got to do a part 2 for sure.
I would love to, man. I would love to. Congratulations again on the business, not just your pizzeria and your brothers, but the dough thing sounds like it's going to be such a great thing in your back pocket, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. And you know what's cool? So I'll end on this. So the dough, because I don't want to take full credit for it. The
Sure.
dough is 90% at this point my son's creation.
That's great.
So the greatest thing about all of that is that with any dough that gets sold, he gets royalties
That's
on the dough because so he's 21 years old. It's his creation, so every dough ball that gets sold,
you
he'll get a
froze.
piece. of every single one that's sold. So hopefully that'll set him up, for the future.
Yeah, man. Dude, I think that's incredibly cool to have him be the heir to it,
Yeah.
dude, that's really, really that's awesome. I'm sure he's very happy for the opportunity too. I can see 20 years from now that, that'll be he'll be the head of a giant dough company, like where did
Right.
it start? But I mean, truly, that's really cool. Right, DiGiorno. I know that's at this point in time, right?
Yeah.
DiGiorno is like this has a not a great reputation, but the dough was kind of invented in the same situation where that guy
Yeah.
had to figure out how to, I can't remember his name, something Cole, Frank Cole. He had to figure out how to make this dough that's going to rise be frozen for a bit first. And now you've done the same thing with the sourdough. I think it's incredible,
Yeah.
dude.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And again, thank you so much for having me on. I wish your buddy was here. And hopefully we get a response from the
Oh
man at the
man,
top.
dude, I'm gonna tag him in the video. So
Yeah.
we
I'm
should.
really curious what he said. And again, if he just doesn't like me, just tell me. And then I'm cool with it. I'm cool. Just say, I just didn't like the guy. Okay. No
You say
problem.
you're cool with it, but if he says it, you're like, go fuck yourself. No,
I mean, I
I
will definitely be like, go fuck yourself. I don't like you either, even though I do. I still idolize him in a way. Weird.
Well, man, that is a wrap for this episode of the Holy Hot Honey Hour. Big thanks to Sean Jafarjian. Sorry, man. I'm so well ready to do like a European thing. Jefairjian, for bringing the flavor and the fire. If you liked what you heard, like us, follow us, share us with someone who knows their way around a good pie. I'm Matthew Zeiss without Garrett Klein. And until next time, stay hungry, stay humble, and never go too long without a slice. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, guys.
Talk soon, man.
Have a good one.